everyone. Hi, how are you? I'm Arlene with Beacons of Balance, and I want to welcome you here and thank you for coming in to listen and hear and watch our wonderful YouTube podcast on balance. It's all about balance. I am missing my co-host Linda. She's off doing her book and busy with bookwork and so forth. So that's why she isn't here today. Every month we have a topic that we discuss, and each week we'll take a part of that topic and highlight on different things about that. And this month for April, we're talking about animal communication and all our wonderful pets that are so dear to us. So this month, each Wednesday, we'll have an animal communicator on with us as a guest speaker. So we're very, happy about that. And today I would like to introduce the lovely Lynn Schuster. She resides in actually Wisconsin. Your business is called Animal Spirit Talker, correct? Is that
Yes, correct?
Lynn is a telepathic animal communicator, right? An intuitive, a Reiki master teacher, and an artist, all combined into one, all rolled into one.
Yeah.
I see one of your lovely little pets
Yeah,
climbing
that's
over
my
there.
yeah,
Your little kitty.
that's Sky. Yeah.
So could you tell us about yourself and how this all came about? And, have you studied with someone?
When I was a kid, I think I talked to the animals, but I didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't have anybody else to talk about it with, so I just kind of shut it down. But in 2002, I met my mentor, Rebecca Moravec, and she taught me Reiki, and it was through a friend here in Sturgeon Bay that asked me if I wanted to go to that class. What I found out was I really liked Reiki very much, and so I continued working with Rebecca from 2002 until 2014 when she passed. And she was a telepathic animal communicator. And so after Reiki, I took several of her animal communication classes. I worked one-on-one with her. I started really talking to the animals myself. And in 2014, I decided that I felt confident enough that I could go professional. And so I created Animal Spirit Talker in 2014, and this is what I do for a living now.
That's wonderful. What had your prior profession been?
I worked in the printing field. I used to do layout and design, and then for a while I had my own little art gallery shop. I'm a hand weaver and fiber artist. And then also after I did those things, I worked at a halfway house for alcoholics and addicts
Wow,
who wanted to get clean and sober.
that's challenging. Yeah.
It was challenging, yeah. And so when I was there, I really learned a lot about meditation. And so that's really helped me open up to the animal world.
Wow. So this is great. So have you worked on big, small, in between mammals?
Yeah, big, small, and in between. Let's see. Yeah, I mostly talk to dogs and cats, horses. I've talked to llamas, pigs, birds. I've talked to hermit crabs. I have a friend who has hermit crabs, and I talk to them on occasion. So it can be any domestic or wild. During COVID, I talked to a lot of times. I would talk to the birds in my yard and the squirrels. They were helping us
I
during
was going to
COVID.
say, did they give you a heads up on COVID?
Yeah,
Did
yeah.
they? Did they
The
give you
all the
messages?
yeah the whole animal kingdom knew about what was happening to the humans.
Really? What were they saying about that?
So they were worried about the balance of the human.
Balance. Here we
Yeah,
go.
yep.
Balance. It's
They were
about
worried
balance.
about the balance, and the whole energy shifted for them as well, because a lot of the humans were afraid, or we were staying indoors more, and just things were canceled, and they didn't know specifics, but they knew that the
Something
humans
was
were
happening.
afraid. Something was happening. There was a big shift. There was a big shift in the energy for us as well as for them. And so the birds, I found out from the birds that they're kind of like the internet. Since they fly place to place, they might be at my feeder, talking to the squirrels. and what's happening in this neck of the woods, this neighborhood, and then they fly to somewhere else and they talk about what's happening there, and then those birds fly somewhere else, and so it was kind of like the internet,
You're
the
like the
bird.
little gossipers.
Yes, they were. They probably still are. I just don't talk to them as often.
Storytelling. So before COVID happened, were you going out to clients to see their pets and that? Did you do your work that way, or was it always through a Zoom type thing? Or
Somewhat, I did uh go see clients, but I have clients all over the country and overseas as well. The majority of my clients have always been on the phone or Zoom. And so the way I work is with a photograph of the animals, even when I'm in person, because I sit with my eyes closed most often. And I really feel that we all have the ability to speak to each other telepathically, that we were born with the ability, but we were taught to use our words, so we kind of forgot about this ability. But all
Mhm.
the other species, I feel that all the other species do talk to each other telepathically. And so I always lead with that for new clients, to let them know that how they might already be doing it, with talking with their animals, or enhancing their gifts as well. So the way I work, is I have my clients fill out a pre-session questionnaire before our session, with a photograph of them, and how old their animal is, how long they've been together, and what would they like to know, about what's bringing us together today. Then, when I'm with the client, I don't have to see the animal in person. I look at the photograph. I close my eyes, visualize their photograph in my mind's eye, and state my intention is to speak with that animal, call them by name. When I see them moving or animated in my mind's eye, I know I have a connection. And from there, we can have a conversation very similar to what you and I are doing. However, I'll either see pictures in my mind's eye. I might hear their voices. The animals' voices usually sound more childlike and innocent than my normal mind chatter. And it's usually back here behind my physical ear, rather than the forefront of my mind, which is where I feel like my normal mind chatter occurs, here more in the front.
Mhm.
This feels like it's way back in the depths
Huh.
of my mind when I hear their voices. Sometimes I feel their feelings in my heart. So either love or anxiety, or, it could be gratitude, just like feelings of humans. Times, it's a sense of knowing that something is true, that gut feeling that so many of us have experienced and really know about. And so it's all about deep belly breathing, feeling my belly rise and fall. Helps me make the connection into the right brain. So animal communication is done more in the right brain than the left brain. Our
Mhm.
left brain is analytical. It's where it's our numbers, and we analyze things, and we make sure when we're crossing the street that there's no cars coming. We're analyzing, looking both ways, looking both directions. Our right brain is our creative center, our imagination, our intuition. And everything happens in the imagination before it can come into the physical world. So somebody had to imagine, the design of the lamp that's next to your chair, or even the chair, and what materials that's going to be made out of, and if they're gonna, how they're gonna sew that together, and what size. So everything comes in the imagination first before it comes into the physical world. So with the deep breathing, that meditation brings me into the right brain and helps me relax. I also have to be again, with balance, I have to be in a zero balance place without judgment. And my mind needs to be clear of all the thoughts, racing through. So I need to use my breath to get into that place of balance as well.
Mhm.
And when I'm there and my mind is calm, that's when I can really have the conversations, and I let those conversations just roll and flow. And see, I always say, let's see where the conversation takes us."
Now, are you, be it animal versus human, because I know when mediums do readings, sometimes there's people that are shut off, or they'll sit there like this and they don't, they block. Have you had animals block you also?
Yeah, today, as a matter of fact, one was much more quiet than, and in the same household. I talked to three different animals in the same household, and one was very quiet, and it took a while to get her to talk to me. But a lot of times, too, it's about their people being shut down and blocked. Every once in a while, not very often anymore, but every once in a while, somebody will schedule but be skeptical, and I can feel that right away.
The person's
The
skeptical,
person is
so
skeptical.
it transfers
Transfers to
to
the,
the pet.
it's like they're trying to protect their pet, and so there's a block there.
Ah, and the oh, that's
The
interesting.
pet picks up on it, and yeah, and so then it makes it a little challenging. But most of the animals really want to chat. They really do want to talk.
Do our animals, and I've heard this before, because an animal's their intuition also, our pets, be it, more, dog, cat, and that, they'll come if you're sick or if there's an injury on your body or whatever, they'll come. Like you hear a lot of times a dog will they'll say lick the wound, that's supposed to heal quicker. I don't know if that's true or not. But do they take from us, say someone, if they're with cancer or whatever, I've heard this before, that a lot of times the pet takes it and then they end up crossing over.
Yeah, that happens as well.
Do you think they take it away from their owner?
They, I think are, sometimes, but I think, we really, our pets mirror us and we
Mhm.
mirror them.
Mm.
And a lot of times they will show us what's happening, what maybe we don't see so clearly. They take it on, and, through their actions, or maybe their physical health. Yeah, they might take
Wow, so
on.
that's interesting. So if our animal picks up, there's something physical wrong with them, say, I'm just saying simple, like an ear infection or eye infection, it could really be us that they're trying to relay it to us. That's,
Yeah, yeah, it is very interesting how much we mirror each other.
being older, I'm old, I mean, the dogs I grew up, I'm a dog person, and we always had what was called mutts.
Mhm.
They were, everybody had puppies and they just were cute. Now they're called designer dogs and they're like $5,000.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And of course, they ran wild and they had freedom. They had freedom. And now we've brought them indoors and we've made them like us. We've humanized them to the point of, do they feel that, the animals out? Do they have any resentment for that as far as being,
Yeah.
I mean, they have a home or whatever, so they're not totally caged in, but yet they're restricted, do you know?
I haven't really asked them that question, but mostly the animals, I don't know that they necessarily feel restricted, because I think a lot of them don't realize that what they're missing. But what I do know is that they come here, their really big job is to come here and help us love, to open our hearts. That's their really big job. And so they love us unconditionally. They begin with this unconditional love, and unless they're really, harmed, or, abandoned or abused, or, neglected, they come in, they'll keep their hearts open, and they will continue to show us love no matter what. And so they're helping us to raise that vibration on the planet and the frequency of love. So I don't think that they really realize that they don't have that much freedom. If
Mhm.
they aren't growing up with it, they would notice if it was taken away. Like, maybe dogs that get a little more freedom out on the farm, and if their people moved into town and they have to have them on a leash, they would definitely notice that. But I think if they're brought up that in a certain way, and have a certain, what they really like is structure. They're more concerned with the structure of their home and feeling safe in their home.
How do they feel about being dressed up and done all the things that we do to them?
Some animals won't let you, it's like people, we all have our own personalities, and as a matter of fact, I had a dog that was lost for a while, a little puppy, and her person had a little tutu dress on her, and if it wasn't for that tutu, we might not have found her because part of it ripped on the branch.
Oh, okay.
And she was stuck and she couldn't move. And so if without that little dress, we might not have found her, we kept walking right past her because she wouldn't open her mouth and say, "Ruff, ruff, I'm here."
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, like in her case, she was still a puppy and she liked it. Um,
Huh.
yeah, she really liked it that her people were fussing over her.
Yeah. Well, you say unconditional love, and I think I've always said, yeah, pets were unconditional, but yeah, some of them they do have they'll act out, so they'll do
Mhm.
things to you I know on purpose, that. So I don't know if that's a totally unconditional love.
Right, that's very true. Because this morning when I was riding my horse, she wanted to go one way and I said, "Nope, we're not going that way." And she stopped right straight in front of a tree. She was like, "I'm gonna walk you into this tree." It's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you're not."
Yeah.
So,
So they
we
do
were
get
engaged.
they
We
do
were
get
good.
will get an
Yep.
attitude,
Mhm.
right? Yeah.
We
Yep.
we had to I had to engage with her, and we were really engaged with each other, and having, physically, I was letting her know, no, we're going this way. And so, I had to be the alpha, the
Yep.
leader of this little herd, and say, and that's what she needed as well. Because I took charge and said, "You're going around this way, you're going around the tree, and we're going this way, not that way." Um, she relaxed into the ride because she knew I was taking over and I was taking charge. So she was testing me to see, if I would do that for her. And I said, "Yes, I will take over some of this responsibility. You don't have to be out here thinking, something's gonna harm you. I will,
Have
I
you
will take over."
have you gotten any messages like from more of the species like out in the wild? Like I don't know what bigger, well, you said llamas and horses. I don't know if you work with any other you have like elephants or anything like that. Have you gotten any messages from them as far as like what they feel is going on in the world? I'm not saying politically, but what's going on in
Right,
general
right.
of our world of
Mhm.
because of climate change and everything that's happening. Are they in, if they have emotions
Yeah.
around fear or whatever, or they feel extinction's going to happen to them soon or
I haven't, it's a more when I see commercials on TV, or maybe a show on TV with the animals, that I kind of connect with them that way, the wild animals. But I don't connect with them that often, but they are aware of that something is going on in their environment. But they are also very much in the moment about what's happening right here, right now.
well, as we all should be living in the
Should
now.
be yes, we should be. We can learn so much from them because they live in the now. Right now, I need to take a nap. Right now, I need to find something to eat. Right now, I need to find my den, or I need to, and so they really are so much in the moment. They are noticing different things about the environment. There might be less water in certain places, or it might not be as clean water, or, and with the fires everywhere, a lot of them die in the fires, but they get really afraid.
Well, so many of them, I mean, just in my area here, they're getting pushed out of their environment. Say, like, we're sightings of bears, black
Yeah.
bears and bobcats and things. I mean, I'm in a residential area on a cul-de-sac, but they're building things. So if there's any wetlands or any, things are being pushed out and we're seeing things that we've never seen before.
They don't know where to go. They don't know what
I get, yeah.
to do. They're not sure. And their food sources are diminishing, so they will go anywhere to find food. So there they are, yeah, they are more afraid, or there's more fear because they don't know how they're going to take care of themselves. It's already tough enough.
Yeah.
And these other things, environmental things are happening.
How do you feel about pets that have crossed over? And do you feel because I firmly believe in myself personally, reincarnation with humans and pets and everything else. Do you feel they come back, and do you feel they come back into the same will come back into the same family unit?
Oh, yeah, I talk to a lot of animals after they've made their transition. And what they show me is that we are all white light souls, that it doesn't matter how many legs we have, we all come from the same place. So I visualize God as golden light, like a ball of this beautiful golden light that is pure unconditional love. And around the golden light is the white light, and that's where I work. I always ask to be in the white light right next to the divine. And when I look at the white light, I see sparkly lights in there, like diamonds, sparkly like diamonds. And those, I think, are all the souls. And so all the animals' souls and the human souls and the birds and the fish, everybody goes back into the light. I believe that we travel in soul groups so that, a lot of us will reincarnate with each other to continue the lessons, that this is the earth school, and we come here to really learn and to become wise, the wise old soul. A lot of our animals do come back to us. Matter of fact, my cat Sky, who was just behind on the sofa when I was ready to get another cat after one had passed. My husband found him at a pet store in Green Bay. He had an appointment in Green Bay. It's about an hour south of where I live in Sturgeon Bay. And he called me and said, I think I might have found our cat, but he didn't want to just go get him because I wasn't there to meet him. And
Right, right.
I said, if you think you found him, then go get him. Because I trust you. If you think you did, then you did. Go get him. And he brought Sky home, and we got along right away. Immediately, it was like, wow, we were picking up from somewhere else. And it was a couple weeks later, I was petting Sky, and he looked up at me and he said, I can't believe you haven't figured it out yet. I'm Gilly. He's reincarnated of one of our cats that was at the halfway house when we worked there. And that closed in 2015. And he had lived there, but he had made the choice, and he wanted to live with some neighbors who and so he lived there for quite a few years before he passed. But so yeah, so Gilly, yeah, so I believe that Sky, my cat Sky, was my cat Gilly.
Do you think, I mean, I know this for a fact myself, so you probably do also, but when they do transition and cross over, that they come back and give us signs? I know for us as humans, of course, the typical is seeing, butterflies, dragonflies, birds, cardinals. But I think, do you believe it's the same for our pets?
So my girl Haley, who passed right before we got Sky, I knew she wasn't gonna reincarnate here. It was like she's doing something else now. I'll see her sometime. I'll see her again, but she's doing something else now. But I still see her, out of the corner of my eye, running from the kitchen past me into the living room. Or I still hear her after we're in bed, and everything, we're all snuggly, and we're in bed. I hear the stairs creaking, and I know it's Haley coming upstairs. The thought just goes through my head. Oh, hi Haley, come on up. And then I remember, oh yeah, that's right, she's not physically here, but she can still come up anyway. So yeah, they do give us signs. I have a client who actually, her dog passed, and she had the water bowl out for another one of her animals. And after her dog passed, the water was empty in the bowl. And she knows it was her dog that passed because she had left the water out. She didn't pick up the water bowl and the food bowl. Sometimes we just leave those there
Yeah.
even after they've
That's, yeah,
passed.
yeah, yeah.
Just don't want to pick up all their things right away.
Right, right.
Um, and so there was water in the bowl when she went to bed, and in the morning it was gone. And so she filled up the water bowl again, and after a couple hours it was gone. She knows her dog who had made the transition came and drank that water, or that was a sign, somehow that water disappeared. And that was a sign from her dog that she was okay, that, she's still around. Or so sometimes it can be like cardinals or butterflies, but there are other things, other signs that remind us of them.
Yes.
And
Well, I had my
that,
own personal with my one dog came in as a moth, believe it or not. And there's
Mhm.
a whole story around that. It's a little bit lengthy though, so I'm not gonna go into it. But this is a picture of, and I'm not a cat person.
Uh-huh.
This was Layla. I called her Gracie because I didn't know who she was at first. She was my next door neighbor's cat. She had six paws. She's transitioned. She's gone, but she was like a dog. She would come
Mhm.
over and lay on her back and had a scratcher and everything. And I would hold her, and my granddaughter would say, Grandma, you're not holding her, because I held her like a dog. But she never put out her claws at
Right.
never did anything. Well, she did. She left, and I was sad. I mean, I bought her little. My husband couldn't believe I bought her little cat nibble treats. I bought a toy. I play with her on the patio. My neighbors knew, but she wanted to be here all the time. In fact, she got locked in the garage twice, in our garage.
Mhm.
And so after she passed, I stay up late at night. My husband goes up to bed. But this was like around midnight, and we have the Ring doorbell. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it goes off on my phone, and I heard a ding. I don't think much of it because the wind, if but it said the garage, and it said person detected. And I'm like, oh, I'm sitting here going, oh my God, oh my God. I'm trying not to live in fear, but I'm like, oh my God,
Well, that's
there's
kind
someone
of
in the
cool.
garage, and the
Uh-huh.
door. I'm waiting for the door. So I looked on the camera, and I swear to God, there was, I saw like a light thread, and there was a big spider, big,
Uh-huh.
big spider. Now, we've been in this house like 3 years now. I'm sure there's been nothing ever happened like that. Now, Layla, when she would come into the garage, we had a high cabinet there, metal cabinet, and she would go up on top of the cabinet and lay. And
Mhm.
that's right where the Ring camera was. And I knew, because it was shortly after she passed, I knew that was her.
Yep.
And it
Mhm.
didn't happen after that.
Right.
It was like
Yeah.
that time,
Mhm.
that only time, and so
Mhm.
I know, but these things, just so our audience hears this, you hear these or you see these things and you think you're crazy, but it's your gut tells you, and you know what it is. You don't have to have anybody explaining it to you,
Right. If you
you
think
know?
it is, then it is. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So it's yeah, it's an interesting phenomenon. I just love it all because it's all spirit. It's what we are.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So do you have any big like aha stories that even surprised you with working on um any pet, that it even you kind of got woo, that really that came through, wow.
Yeah, that happens a lot of times, and it's it does happen a lot of times, but I don't always remember the stories because it's meant for the other person, not for me. There are things that stand out where I go, wow, this thing is real. The animal communication is real because,
Sure, because yeah.
don't always have that tangible something. This was an in-person session. It was a dog that lives about 15-20 minutes away from me. So I was invited to come out and talk to this dog who was a rescue. We'll call her Millie. I can't remember her name.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyways, Millie was there for about 3 days, and she was so depressed, and she wouldn't get off the sofa. She didn't want to meet the other dogs that were there, and we could tell she had puppies because she would have still been nursing. And she was a rescue from like, I think, Kentucky, and so she came from Kentucky to Wisconsin. She was found in a parking lot. She was just abandoned in the parking lot. And then she was driven, there was a few people that volunteered to drive her to Wisconsin. And so I started talking to her. First, I sat next to her and asked her if I could share Reiki with her. So I put my hand on her shoulder and she let me do that. And so I started the session with Reiki to calm her down, to help her feel safe. What we found out is that she had four puppies and she and her puppies were abandoned in this parking lot and she was really worried about her puppies.
Wow.
And so through her, I found out that there were four. And through her, we found I could see where each one was, and that all four of them had a home. One was with a family with two young children, one was with an older couple, one was with a single man, one was, and the other was with another family. And she started relaxing. And then I told her, she showed me a man with a cigar. And the man was one of the people that drove her from Kentucky, drove a ways, to the next transport to get her to Wisconsin. And he was nice and he let her sit in the front seat of the car. And when she got here, she was, those 3 days, she was waiting for somebody else to transport her somewhere else because that's her life now. People are just driving her
Right,
around and
right.
dropping her off. And I told her, no, this could be your forever home if you would like to live here, because they really want you to live here. They want you to be here. This could be your forever home. And the reason I'm here is because they're worried about you. The humans are worried about you and they want you to know that this is your forever home. And so we talked about that for a while, what it would be like to live here and be treated, and she'll never be abandoned, never be put in a parking lot and left alone. She won't have to drive with strangers anymore. She can meet these other two dogs and they had a cat. You can meet all the four-leggeds. And this is where you're going to live. And she still was laying there, but she put her chin on my leg, so she was making contact. And so we closed the session when it was time, and I went home. And the next day, I got a call from her human, and she said, "You won't believe it. I have a totally different dog. She's off the
Oh,
She was engaging with my two other dogs. She ate breakfast and she wanted to go outside and play with them. She's totally different today than
what
she
a
was.
wonderful story.
Isn't that
See?
awesome? And that one I just went, oh my gosh, there's physical evidence, and big evidence that something happened here.
I'm going to share an aha with you because this just happened the other night because I knew I was going to be doing April on animal communication. And my husband and I were watching the show. It was called on Netflix, called The Engineer. And it's about when Clinton was in office and it was going on with the Israelis and Palestinians over Gaza. That whole thing was still going on. And there was a bus exploded. And my husband, it brought a memory back to me, said, oh my goodness, he years back in the 90s, he was living in an apartment in a town in New Haven. And he said one day on his doorstep, a dog appeared. There was a
Hmm.
dog sitting there, and the dog had a collar and had a chain a thing on, an identity. So he called the people, right? So they came. It happened to be this Jewish couple. They lived, I forget how many, a distance away. I can't remember what town, but anyways, they came and they got the dog. So they told my husband, they said, we can't believe it. This dog's been missing for 2 weeks. They didn't know where it was. It was 12 miles away from where they had lived to where the apartment was. Their daughter had lived in that apartment.
Ah,
They, they were a Jewish family. The daughter went to Israel to go on a kibbutz, to live in a kibbutz. I'm going to cry. She was on that bus that exploded.
oh my
She was on
God.
that bus that exploded. So she was killed. The dog, I don't know. I don't think the dog was her dog. I think it was her parents' dog. And the parents these people couldn't believe it because they said that dog had only been to that apartment one time, and it was in the car.
Wow.
So you think a dog picks up a scent. My
Mhm.
intuitive hit was that I told my husband, I said, I think that was the energy of the girl coming through the dog and came back to see her
Mhm.
apartment. Maybe she remember, you know what I mean? Maybe she wanted to see something that was there or left something. I don't know.
Mhm.
But wasn't that, he just told
That's
me that.
amazing.
But I
Yeah.
was like, oh,
Hmm.
and he was even, oh, I said, what a
Uh-huh.
story. I hadn't
Yeah.
heard it, and I'm like, that blows my socks off.
Yes, it does.
But it shows you, right? Everything's energy and we just keep going on and we interchange and get
Yeah.
carried around and
Yeah.
this
So
isn't it.
many. Yeah. So many of
It's
my
bigger.
clients say I tell them things that I can't possibly know.
Yes.
And to me that blows me away too, but I don't know that I don't know. I'm just getting, I'm just getting what I'm getting. And I don't know that it's, unless they tell me, I don't know that, that how true that is or how much that
Well, sure,
rings.
because with all this energy work, and I do the energy work also, and it wasn't until I worked on a hospice patient where they couldn't
Uh,
communicate. They're already transitioning, and I was holding and the person started rocking back and forth, and then my own mother responded to when I was doing it,
right.
and she laid back, and I'm like, and I said, "Oh my God," I said, "This really, it's real, even though you don't see it,
Yeah.
you can't
Right.
touch, feel it, it's
Right.
real."
It's real.
So it is. Is there because we have to wrap up, I could talk to you forever. Is there something, because the show's called Beacon of Balance, about living in balance. Can you share with our audience about their pets and what we should do to keep things kind of in the balance for them and us?
Yeah. Our breath is one of the most important tools that we have. And I often tell my students the biggest takeaway that I want you to come away with is how important your breath is. Deep belly breathing, mindful breathing, being mindful about how we're breathing. I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out. During every moment, if we could breathe mindfully every moment, we would have so many more intuitive hits because we would be in that moment and we wouldn't be guessing so much. Um, I think, the breath is such a miracle. I call it breathing by default. We're doing whatever we're doing and we're breathing and we're not thinking about that we're breathing or that our heart's beating or that, our stomachs are digesting food or, all the things that are going on to keep us animated and keep our souls in
Sure.
our bodies.
Yeah, with that breath work, it'll keep us in a peaceful place to be with our,
Yes, it
our
keeps us.
aunt, and it keeps
Yep.
them calm and keeps the
Mm.
households
Yes.
all
Yeah.
in balance. So there's not anxiety, opens us
Right.
up to open to the realm of our own intuitiveness with our own pets,
Right. Right.
that we could do that. And yeah,
Yeah. I notice when I'm sitting out, I just go sit by my horses. I'm not really engaged. I'm not touching them they're not right next to me. And I'll sit and watch the herd. But when I start breathing mindfully, deep, feeling my belly rise and fall, it brings my shoulders down, it calms my mind. I'll notice the horses looking up and they'll see me and they'll look around and their body language will tell me, I see you, I know you. And then one by one, they'll come in and they'll stand with me. And sometimes they breathe with me. They'll put their nose right next to my nose.
oh, how
Three,
beautiful.
three deep breaths. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Isn't that beautiful? Yeah. It's
That's
all about
amazing.
breath.
That's a
Yeah.
miracle. Yeah, that they intuit to that they know.
Yeah, they start matching my breath. That's the way they breathe. They notice, oh, she knows us. This is the way we breathe when we're in balance, when we're at
Wow,
zero.
what a gift. That's wonderful. Lynn,
So
thank you.
yes,
Thank you
that's the
so
biggest
much
thing.
for
Mhm.
sharing with us. And we'll put your website, my podcast, my Victor, my angel techie production guy. I call him. Yeah, my
Yeah.
Production angel. He'll add that below for everybody. So I want to thank everybody for being here with us, for seeing us, listening, hearing us, and be open your hearts. As always, be the change that you want to see, because that'll create our change. And from our hearts to your hearts, in total love, peace. If we have inner peace, we have it all. And thank
Right.
you. Remember to subscribe, please. Keep us going and keep us growing. We love you all. Bye. Bye, Lynn. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you.
Okay, take care.